3 days ago, I took a dump, and when I went to go flush the toilet, I noticed that inside was a Blu-ray copy of Demon Slayer. At that very moment, I knew that it was a gift from God and set straight to work on watching it. However, upon finishing the anime, I realized immediately that God isn't real. After all, if God is real, then why would he give me something so painful to watch? My entire upbringing as an anti-vax flat earth Christian was shattered at that very moment. I am currently in the process of replacing all my icons of Jesus with ones of our true Lord and Savior, Hifumi Takamoto. As I am making this video, I am severely depressed, having realized that the time I spent watching those 26 episodes will never be given back to me. I do nothing now but gaze across the room towards my shrine dedicated to Hifumi. I don't do anything useful with my time. I don't even have it in me to watch anime anymore. My only hope now is to turn my tragedy into a comedy by tearing apart the show that put me in this situation in the first place. This review is not only an attack on Demon Slayer, but God himself. This may be the toughest review of my life, but I know my savior Hifumi will be there to pick me back up when I'm down. As long as I sacrifice goats to her and give her head. Hi, I'm Crunchybagels, and I have terrible opinions. Join me in this review, no, this war against a mediocre shonen anime that will probably destroy my channel's like ratio. By the way, yes, I am a schizophrenic, and no, I'm not taking meds.
Hifumi told me not to.
The Chernobyl disaster was a terrible tragedy in which thousands of people lost their lives. Oh wait, this video's about Demon Slayer. To be fair, the two are pretty similar. In case you're one of the 3 people on planet Earth who still hasn't seen this show, here's a basic rundown of the plot. You see this guy? His name's Tanjiro. Very respectable dude, he supports his entire family despite being canonically 13. You know what, anime ages have always been pretty loose, so I'll let this one slide. Not only does he support his entire family, but fully grown adults in the neighboring town also look up to him. And immediately upon entering the town, he's asked to help out with a number of different odd jobs. One day, after helping out around town and selling charcoal to get his family money, Tanjiro comes back home only to find that everyone in his family has been lost to this monster. But who is the man behind this slaughter? Okay, I'll stop. By the way, the culprit is a bunch of demons. So basically, in the world of Demon Slayer, there's a race of man-eating demons led by some guy named Kibutsuji. These demons are such a big threat that there's a group of many hundreds of people employed just to kill them. Yet, for some reason, Tanjiro barely knows of their existence when the series begins. Luckily, not everyone in his family has committed kumin. His little sister Nezuko is still alive, though she's been turned into a demon. Weird what STDs do to you. Thus begins an epic journey as Tanjiro trains to become a demon slayer, and find a way to turn his sister back into a human. Let me get this out of the way as quickly as possible. Tanjiro is not an interesting protagonist. There are so many anime out there with bland, cookie-cutter protagonists that I can barely remember the names of. Tsukasa from Plastic Memories, Taki and Mitsuha from Your Name. None of these protagonists have any real personalities aside from base-level traits that can apply to nearly every person on planet Earth. Because of the prevalence of these boring protagonists, I've developed somewhat of a hate boner for them, and Tanjiro definitely falls into this camp. Tanjiro's only discernible personality trait is that he doesn't give up. Other than that, he gets so little characterization, he feels like a self-insert from a harem anime. Actually, I take that back. The protagonist from Quintessential Quintuplets was somehow more interesting than Tanjiro. Alright, let me just list the personality traits Tanjiro has real quick. He breathes. Aside from his utter lack of notable traits, I feel like a lot of why Tanjiro is such a poorly written character is due to how the series portrays him in the first episode. As I said earlier, he's respected by not only his entire family, but also the nearby town, despite being only 13. The very first thing we learn about Tanjiro is that he's someone people look up to, someone who is already a decent person. This is incredibly antithetical to the very premise of this anime. Demon Slayer's story is about the rise of someone who starts off weak, but after years of training begins to slowly rise up the ranks and become strong enough to take on Kibutsuji and save his sister. This is a journey, and one that has particular focus on Tanjiro's growth over time. But if Tanjiro is already a mature, well-rounded guy at the beginning of the story, what room is there for him to grow as a person? The only growth that's really possible from here is his physical strength. Now, I'm not saying that static characters are a no-go as a concept, but having a static protagonist in this particular anime seems to counteract what it's trying to do in the first place. At best, making him a static character is a load of missed potential. Tanjiro is an abhorrently written character in every way, and is completely overshadowed by whereas Tanjiro is a complete blank slate with no personality other than a drive to succeed, Inosuke and Zenitsu are each characterized by a single personality trait, at least in the beginning. Now, I just want to give you a heads up, what I'm about to say is very incredibly based. Inosuke is actually kinda good. Now I know, everyone who dislikes Demon Slayer rants about how annoying both Zenitsu and Inosuke are. But I personally feel it's unfair to lump Inosuke within the same continent, scratch that, universe, as Mr. Gives My Ears a Heart Attack. In a show all about character growth, Inosuke is the only one to have an actual arc. He starts off as incredibly rash, arrogant, and aggressive, but ends up mellowing out due to an incident I won't spoil. Granted, this arc never really got any proper closure, and I'm pretty sure he'll revert to being just as aggressive as before in the movie, but hey, the attempt at an arc is appreciated. Every time Zenitsu opens his mouth, one person dies and another starts watching Tamayomi. I'll let you decide which one is worse. Finding someone who actually likes Zenitsu is like if okay, I'll be real with you, I don't even have a comparison for this, it's just outright impossible. For some people, he outright ruins the show for them. I can understand why. Zenitsu is a coward. Not only is he a coward, but he gives up anytime things get even slightly hard for him, and will scream like a child if things don't go exactly his way. The show tries to redeem his character during a fight with a flashback sequence, but it felt incredibly tacked on, almost like the whole thing was an afterthought. Even if the flashback sequence was executed perfectly, I don't think it would do much to make Zenitsu more likable. He is entirely overbearing, egregiously infuriating, and a completely unlikable character. Like Tanjiro, the only things we really know about Nezuko are at a base level. We know Nezuko was very motherly and feminine before she was a demon, and now she wants to protect Tanjiro. But that's about it when it comes to characterization. Nezuko isn't exactly the most active throughout the story, and she's gagged so she can't speak, so it makes sense why she isn't exactly well developed. But the entire purpose of Tanjiro's journey, and therefore the story, is to save Nezuko. So she has to be someone worth saving, someone who the audience cares about. After all, if I don't care about the destination, why should I care about the journey? Nezuko is boring, but more importantly, I don't care about her safety. Why? Because she's boring. While not exactly unlikable, she's not someone I can bring myself to like either. Ironically, I care about characters like Itsuki Hashima from A Sister's All You Need far more than Nezuko. And Itsuki was purposefully written with negative traits like egotism and arrogance. I mean, hey, at least Itsuki had a character. And really, Nezuko's lackluster characterization would be forgivable, if only I could care about Tanjiro. It would be something along the lines of, Tanjiro likes Nezuko and would be upset if she got hurt, and when Tanjiro cries, I cry. But as previously stated, that's not really the case. All in all, the only character in this show I'd be the least bit upset about if they got brutally slaughtered on screen is Inosuke. It's that time again, folks, to talk about plot holes, a bona fide Crunchybagels tradition at this point. Normally, I would give context to what I'm talking about, so that when I tear certain plot points to shreds, you actually understand what I'm saying. But listen, I don't want to recap every single little detail of the plot for what is a tiny, relatively inconsequential fraction of this video, so I'm not going to bother this time around. Basically, if you haven't seen Demon Slayer, this part probably won't make much sense, so skip like 2 minutes-ish ahead if you don't care to watch this part. With that out of the way, plot hole 1. If Nezuko can be brainwashed into liking humans, why isn't this done with other demons? It's seemingly not very difficult to brainwash them, and doing so on a large scale could be incredibly helpful to the Demon Slayers. Just one example off the top of my head, demons could be used to fight other demons, both eliminating work for Demon Slayers and saving lives. Plot hole 2. If having a demon with your party as a Demon Slayer is enough to get you beheaded for breaking Demon Slayer code, why didn't Kagaya tell the Hashiras and the other Demon Slayer higher-ups he was allowing it? Not telling the Hashiras was just asking for trouble. Plot hole 3. How did the ghosts of Sabato and Makomo train Tanjiro? Aren't they dead? Can people's spirits just casually come up from the grave in this world? Why aren't there more spirits walking around then? Is Tanjiro the only one who can see these spirits? I've already put way more thought into this than the writers did, so I'm just gonna stop asking questions. Plot hole 4. How have the Hashiras not seen Kibutsuji when Tanjiro has? It's not like Kibutsuji was hidden when Tanjiro found him. He was literally in the middle of a big city. And the Hashiras have been actively searching for Kibutsuji for some time now, whereas Tanjiro just happened by him. So what gives? Plot hole 5. In episode 3, Urukadaki says that nobody knows who the leader of the Demon Slayer is, yet in episode 22, it's revealed that Urukadaki sent a letter to the leader of the Demon Slayers. Oh my god, what crack is this show on? And that's it for plot holes. It doesn't have quite as many as atrocities such as Your Name, but still not exactly the most airtight plot. And now, back to your regularly scheduled idiocy. Crunchybagels here. Today we're going to be talking about why Demon Slayer's fights are well animated. Nobody cares, Crunchy. I'm sure nobody watching this wants to hear for the 10 billionth time that Demon Slayer's fights are well animated, so for the record, they look good. But disregard the good animation for a second and let me ask you this. From a story perspective, are these fights good? I'd argue no. Sure, the fights are flashy, there's tons of stuff going on, the enemy design is impeccable, each demon has unique moves and unique backstories, but what does that amount to? I can easily say that I was entertained by Demon Slayer's fights, but was I ever invested in who won the fight? At no point in the series was the answer to that question yes. A fight scene is interesting when the audience cares about what both sides stand to gain or lose. To do that, the show has to get the audience invested in at least one of the sides participating, because then the viewer inherently cares about the fight. We care about this character, so we care about the stakes. And thusly, the knock-on effect of Tanjiro being a boring protagonist continues. Why should I care if Tanjiro wins or loses? I'm not invested in his character because he has no character. I'm not invested in any of this. And when I realized I didn't care, that's when the fights in Demon Slayer started to blend together and become visual white noise. You can throw me the most creative, interesting villain of all time, but if I don't care about the protagonist, I'll feel nothing but apathy. Let me pose you a question. If Demon Slayer's fights weren't as flashy and well animated as they are, would the show still be this well received? I don't think so. Whenever you hear someone praise this anime, the first thing out of their mouth is the fight scenes look incredible. Really, that's the only aspect of this anime everyone seems to agree is good. It's a lot rarer to hear someone say they liked the characters or they thought the plot was interesting. And if they do, it's probably surrounded on all ends by praise of the fights. Demon Slayer lives and dies with its fight scenes, and it's pretty clear to me that that's what the writers focused on. This focus on combat did lead to some outstanding visuals, but it also shortchanges every other one of its endeavors. Demon Slayer truly sacrificed everything else to become the ultimate battle shonen. Some people like it that way, but I certainly don't. At best, this approach makes Demon Slayer a flawed product with one good aspect to compensate. It really makes me wonder, if the only thing the writers focused on was the fights, why even bother with the illusion of an emotional story? I believe a reasonable case can be made for Tanjiro being a Mary Sue, or Gary Stu, whichever you prefer. A Mary Sue is defined as a character that is written with little to no flaws, or if they have flaws, they only serve to make the character seem more sympathetic and likable to the audience, and don't hinder them in any meaningful way. In most cases, the world these characters live in will bend to their will, and anyone they encounter instantly likes them. While I hesitate to say with complete confidence that Tanjiro is indeed a Mary Sue, he has a lot of Sue-ish traits. Tanjiro lacks any real faults whatsoever, and can be seen as vastly more mature and competent than both of his contemporaries. Not only that, but he meets Kibutsuji as an inexperienced demon slayer when none of the Hashira have, even though they've been actively searching for him. Meanwhile, Tanjiro just met him on a whim, not even trying to. If that isn't an example of the universe bending to Tanjiro's will, I don't know what is. The only real hole in this Mary Sue theory, if you will, is that Tanjiro does often have to earn the respect of the people he meets, though he normally does so pretty quickly, and the main Hashira who opposes his ideals is labeled as a deranged lunatic. So, is Tanjiro a Mary Sue? I'll let you decide, but the evidence is compelling to say the least. So, to wrap all of this up, this entire video was a red pill and you fell for it! That's right, throughout this video I've been saying the N-word at frequencies only dogs can hear! You just watched 20 minutes of hate speech. Oh, you racist. Hifumi, I did it. I made them take the red pill.
Me has fallado, idiota totalmente muerto de cerebro.
What?
Es hora de pagar con tu vida.
Oh no. Oh no. No! No!